So hello and welcome along to another episode of Blast Bites. Today I am chatting with Jim Ashworth-Beaumont. And just to warn you, this is a slightly longer introduction than usual. I have known Jim for nearly 25 years. Can you believe it, Jim? We studied together prosthetics and orthotics at university. We also had a short spell where we worked together. And most recently, actually, bumped into Jim about a year ago. Jim lives in London. I live in Edinburgh. We bumped into each other at near enough the top of Arthur's Seat when we were both out for a run. So Jim is
the top of Arthur's Seat.
Top as I know. Jim, as long as I've known him, has been a runner. During university days, you'd be out for a night out, and suddenly, where's Jim gone? You'd ask him the next day, and he just ran home, ran through the streets of Glasgow. I don't know how many miles he would do, but he would just take off and run.
11 miles. Yeah,
and then you would also commute into work in London. And I remember a couple of times where you maybe forgot your uniform and did a clinic with the tiniest of little running shorts on.
I don't think anybody will forget that.
I know, which the rest of the team found funny, but maybe not the patients. But yeah, Jim's always been a great runner. But Jim, just before we started, I was looking you up on Run Britain rankings, and I didn't realise quite the heady heights that you'd got to. So just to put it in context, what a great runner Jim is. So 5K, 17:14, 10K,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 10K, 34:46. Half marathon this time a year ago, 1:21, and marathon, geez, oh Jim, 2:41. I mean, that's incredible. So Jim runs for Serpentine, and we'll talk a bit more about it. You also do some run coaching as well. But I suppose we got to talk about it. About 7 months ago, Jim had an argument, would you say, with a truck. He was on his bike in South London. And Jim is now, as you can see, lost his arm at the accident. And yeah, oh my God, Jim. So a lot of my runs last summer were dedicated to you, Jim, in my head. I thought, Jim,
thank you.
Jim is in a hospital bed. And honestly, Jim, we thought we'd lost you. I don't know how many times. And I thought, if Jim is in that bed and he can't run, I'm getting my trainers on and going out for him. And yeah, you were in my thoughts and the profession's thoughts a lot over the last 7 months, and it's great to see you, and it's great you've been sharing a lot of your back to running journey online, and even just seeing that first mile that you did, and the immense gumption, not just gumption, just the energy that it took out of you as well, to now taking part, not so much in races, but taking part in well, you said are you up to 11K now? Is that the furthest, or even further than that now?
Yeah, 15K would be that now. Yeah.
So I'm going to. Oh my goodness! I'm going to pass the microphone on to you now, Jim. I've spoken enough, but I just wanted to give you the full credit of what an amazing runner you are. And it might seem like a really strange thing to say, and I obviously wouldn't wish that accident on anyone, obviously, but I can't think of anyone better equipped than you, Jim. And I hope you take that in the right light, in that ex-Marine, prosthetist, orthotist for many years, fit as hell, and also just all your neuro rehab knowledge. How are you doing? How are you?
I'm positive, probably as positive now as I ever have been in my life. Obviously, to come through 3 or 4 months of not knowing if you're going to get out of the hospital, full stop, from knowing that you've just woken up from a coma, and it's changed your physicality, profoundly, but that inside your head, you're the same person. And the drives are still there. As runners, what gets us out of bed in the morning and gets us out the door, whatever the weather is, and just doing what we need to do and feeling all the better for it at the end of it, that's unchanged. And in every aspect of my life, that's the same. So I don't see anything's changed, frankly. In fact, I've got better defined goals than I've ever had before. And that actually makes me quite happy.
Wow, Jim. My goodness. So do you think, you genuinely think that being a runner has helped with your rehab through this?
Yeah. I think it's a chicken and egg thing. Running improves your sort of your feeling of self-efficacy. Your ability to actually take hold of your life, and get something positive out of it, which you do yourself. So, like the probably the most productive times in terms of running I've ever had is when perhaps I've been under pressure at work, or financially things haven't been going that well, or whatever other pressures of my life, and yet the outlet of running, it's not just there for the physical health, it's there for the mental health as well. And that's one thing that I'm really, really interested in, and that's the subject of my next master's, which I'm starting in the summers.
Right. So in what, mental health with running in particular, or physical exercise, or?
It's more to do with, including people in activity and society, and getting them, enabling people to participate in things that they want to do, which I think of as sort of life goals, really, rather than just the thing that we're talking about before the camera went on, just functional stuff.
Yeah.
So, we run for a reason, not necessarily for health. It's to make us feel better as people. And all the activities that we do, whether we want to cook or sew or whatever, or turn the pages to read a book, that's all profoundly part of us, rather than just making.
Oh, we have lost Jim to the robot world for a second. Is he coming back from this frozen? It's not the best face
but
either.
Why we move as well.
Oh, sorry, Jim, we lost you for a good few seconds there. Can you say that again?
So it's not only how we move, but it's why we move in the first place, and that's what I'm really interested in.
That is, yeah. And I think, especially with the whole COVID this year as well, and so many more runners taking up running, but also just, runners like myself, whereas goals were always about which races are coming up. But actually now it's more about up here. And I don't know if you saw, I chatted to Mark Beaumont, the cyclist, and he was saying that for him, fitness is, of course you've got the metrics, but it's getting the experience, it's making memories, it's making them count. And that really hit home with me. It's really just not just about fitness, is it? It's all the other stuff. It's being in nature, it's choosing a different path and finding out where it's going.
And that's obviously external as well, in the environment, but also internally as well. We're experiencing things continually. Oh, that's a bit sore. What do I do about that? Or how do I refine my kind of gait pattern for efficiency? There's a lot of internalization there, which is also helpful as well. So you can turn outwards and you can turn inwards.
We chatted slightly there about you, that you're a run coach. Have you gone back to doing that? Yeah.
I've got 3 or 4, clients at the moment, brand new people that have contacted me primarily because of the publicity, actually, around my accident. But they're not realizing that I'm still a bit, iffy health-wise at the moment as well. Okay. So. But my particular sort of USP is that I coach remotely. So, for example, one of my better clients is an England level marathon runner now, whereas like a year and a half ago, she was a good 5K runner, but constantly getting injured. She was overtraining massively. So, by looking at her gait pattern videoed and using her Garmin data, which I could then sort of infer, how she was running and what intensity she was producing during her different training sessions. We got her up to a really good level of fitness there. So I kind of like that way of coaching, because it takes away the personal aspects of, which I'm a bit uncomfortable about, to be honest with you, as a coach. I don't like to sort of impose myself on people. It's more about the sort of the nuts and the bolts, and letting people express themselves rather than, me getting all paternalistic on people.
Got you. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And do you glean a sense of achievement from her achievements as well, or his or her achievements as well?
No, there are her achievements, definitely. I mean, I'm a bit of a number cruncher, scientist-y type of person. So what I really enjoy is looking at people's metrics and you know, breaking those down and understanding what they mean, and then tweaking their training plans, you know, developing training cycles on the back of those. So if I've got one bit of advice for everybody out there, it's like use evidence to guide your training, you know, in relation to your goal. And, you know, that's a really good way to go, because if you can read a book and think, yay, that's a great philosophy and that's a great way of training.
Yeah.
I mean, it just not be completely inappropriate for your level of fitness or what you're actually aiming for, like goal-wise, you know?
Yeah, I suppose it's just having the knowledge of what you're looking for in that data. You know, can you signpost us to any good podcasts or any good websites to help help someone read? You know, you're suggesting that we look more at is it your VO2 max and I don't know, cadence and all of that, perhaps. But how do you know what you're looking for? Or how do you know how to tweak it? Or do they have to come to Jim Ashworth-Beaumont?
That's, yeah, absolutely. J Ashworth-Beaumont at btinternet.com. Yeah, I think it's understanding maybe how much intensity you need to produce for a certain distance or event. So the thing you want to start out doing really is producing a really good performance over a limited distance, maybe. Say I do 5 times around the track, 2,000 meters, have a rest for a couple of days, and then bang out another 800 meters, and look at the relationship in power production between those two. I'm not being very specific here, but essentially, if you look at the way your performance drops off between those two performances, you can actually extrapolate out towards marathon distance and beyond that.
Right, okay.
So it's a little bit difficult to explain.
Yeah, I know, it's maybe far too big a subject to try and cover in a quick chat, but it's an interesting way of looking at it all. And as you say, just it's people's goals at the moment. And you were saying yourself that since your accident, your goals have changed. And in what way would you say?
I'm much less interested in actually performance now. It's more about just being out there. And I'm working at the intensity that I can, and right enough, looking at the sort of metrics afterwards, how achingly slow my running was, and you get that sort of disappointment. But then I used to go disappointed before my accident, so actually nothing much changed there.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, if you put in perspective. Although Jim, you banged out 11K in an hour or something last week.
I don't know where that came from.
Well, I know, but I went out from my midweek run and did about 7 miles, 11K in about an hour, and I wasn't pushing it. I was thinking, geez, Jim has come a long way since that first mile you did in November. I mean, you seem to be exponentially
rehabbing that kind of thing.
Yeah, really getting back into it.
The thing is, you did tend to overstretch yourself, and that's another thing with the training balance is that obviously there are different sort of philosophies or approaches to training for particular events, but I've become more and more like a fan of polarized training. So that's whereby you spend, there's an 80-20 kind of thing that's always pushed. It's another one of those rules that doesn't apply to anybody, but essentially if you're an endurance runner, you do say 80%, if you like, of your volume in long slow running, and then the following or the resulting what's left, that's right, you go flat out, and actually kind of eyeballs popping kind of 90-second or a minute or 30-second intervals, efforts, and then leave that, so that really enables you to kind of push the parameters of your body strength and power production. And then on the other side, you're looking at the vascularization and the technique and everything like that long, slow runs give you. I totally with you in that. You just chatting there about the 80-20 thing, and I'm a fan of Strava, and I'm not, because when I'm running, I need no one cares what I'm running apart from me,
but there's still that little thing of, if you go too slow on your easy run, or much slower than you do, I think it's Strava, what am I trying to say? Strava makes me run faster, I think, too often. And I should be having much more easy runs more often.
Yeah, I think it's the downside of these things.
Yeah, exactly that. Not just Strava, but your Garmin, just being
I mean, they're there to actually teach. They're there to actually constrain you to your training parameters when you're actually doing the activity. But all too often, you start getting into competition with the watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've actually started, because I've only got one wrist at the moment. I've started putting this in my ankle, as you may have seen on Facebook.
I did see that.
And it does stop you looking at the watch all the time.
Oh, that's good. That is good. I mean, yeah. And anything else that you've had to do? So obviously, since rehabbing from your accident, so you've had to work out to put your watch around your ankle. But I was thinking, even just looking at it, even just your laces on your shoes. How, are you quite dexterous now with your left? Because I think you were right-handed. Am I right?
That's right. That's correct.
So
and actually, you can see my right arm going there.
Yes, I am. I am right-handed. But even just tying your shoelaces, how's that going?
Yeah, well, I've gone to elastic laces. I'm a triathlete, man. God, I've hacked it. I only wear sports kit. Come on. Even at work, I'm running around in shorts.
Well,
so it's perfectly. I did go with shoelaces, but I found that when I was having to use a splint on my left leg, I was constantly slipping out of the shoe.
Yeah.
So I went to elastic laces fairly quickly, and they've been fantastic.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And what about balance? Because obviously a lot of running is, at least they talk about, bringing your elbows back, and how did that take a while for you to get used to as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that I'm still it's something I'm still adapting to. I mean, I'm the kind of runner that likes to be thinking about what I'm doing on every run anyway. Because, efficiency is about kind of, being error aware and correcting those errors on the run. Anybody can run badly. And the more refined you're going to be, the more you have to put thought into it. So if we think about running as an exercise where you try to minimize vertical movement, vertical power kind of leakage, and maximize what happens horizontally. If you're driving backwards, or essentially driving backwards with your right leg, for instance, your left arm has to balance that out in your left trunk. So I've got nothing on the right. So I've got one option, which is to kind of balance that out by driving forwards with my left arm, which doesn't really work that well.
No.
Or minimize or reduce the amount of power you're producing on the right leg.
Okay.
And so then increase the cadence. So you're still producing the power, but in smaller packets.
Yeah.
Power, So it's much more controllable.
Okay.
So I'm up to about 210 steps a minute in a normal run now.
Which is pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, my old cadence for racing used to be about up to 230. So say, sort of 10K, I would be hammering out 230 paces a minute for the entire race. But it seems huge. But if you're thinking your pace length is quite short, it's only about meter 10, actually it's just a matter of keeping that sort of efficiency cycle going. Yeah. And it works really well for triathletes, actually. You come off the bike and actually you're just maintaining that high cadence,
Yeah. And have you got any plans for racing, getting back into racing?
I was just emailing an old client there this morning, actually, and I was asking her what she's up to, and she's doing like lots of virtual racing, and I do have to say that it does not interest me one either. I'm not interested in it. I mean, things like Zwift are intentionally virtual, so that's cool. Yes. But the idea of trying to motivate myself by, again, looking at Strava or something like that, I just don't get it. It's too complex for me, cognitively speaking. So I'm hanging out for the events. We used to go down to the south coast a lot, to Folkestone and down to sort of Dungeness, Lydd, those sort of wild areas at the edge of Kent where only the illegal immigrants live. And yeah, I look forward to getting back there in the summer, hopefully, and do some events.
Brilliant.
You know, my goals have changed completely.
Yeah.
I will win the para athlete prize for every race.
I know, I hope so. And the Paralympics calling.
Yeah, I've been in touch with British Tri today, actually.
Oh,
they just
brilliant.
got back to me, and
Good.
they're going to get back to me with sort of, thoughts about prostheses for competing in triathlon and stuff like that. So
brilliant, Jim. Brilliant, Jim. You really are inspirational.
Not at all. Come on.
We
should be our own inspiration, man.
Well,
no, but thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. But, it's always been the people who have struggled and maybe produce very modest sort of, let's say, marathon times, for instance. It's always the people towards the back of the pack who do it anyway and prevail. They're my heroes. And I feel like I'm in that ballpark at the minute. And, I feel very humbled to be there. And, we'll move forward together.
I think it's a really nice place to finish, Jim. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Cheers.